Assalamu alaikum my peoples, how you guys doing? Today I'm going to be reacting to Logan Paul's my response to Coffeezilla scam allegations. And yeah, let's get started. This whole thing's going viral. And this is situation has been going on for a year about, his game called Crypto Zoo, something like that. And many people are angry, and I just saw the podcast as well about him, about his allegations and stuff. So I'm gonna see everything that's going on, and I'm gonna react to this. I'm gonna see his response. I've already seen his response on the podcast, but I haven't seen this yet. So it's gonna be kind of exciting. This has 2.5 million views already in 2 days. Can't relate, but yeah, I'm gonna see his reaction. Coffeezilla is a really good storyteller. Like, I saw his video. I saw his 3-part series. Even Logan Paul himself says in his podcast that Coffeezilla himself convinced Logan Paul, the guy who made Crypto Zoo, of the things that even he didn't know, right? And there's gonna be a lot of legal issues, and they're gonna take it in court. And that's what Logan Paul said in his podcast. And yeah, even though this came up before his podcast, so I wanted to see the podcast before I wanted to save this for you guys. So I'm gonna react to this. I'm gonna see what happens. Alright.
Coffeezilla. I watched your 3-part series called Investigating Logan Paul's Biggest Scam, and like many on this platform, you have successfully used my name for views and money. While your work used to be impartial, your addiction to clicks has clouded your judgment, and you've made very real errors with very real repercussions. Coffee, you took a shot at my reputation, so in this video today, I'm going to be defending myself with facts, something that you have gotten in the habit of twisting as you continue to morph from an investigator to a gossip channel. You see, Coffeezilla tried to work with law enforcement in the past, but his work was described as not anchored to truth and often speculative. He is a lopsided journalist with an agenda, and he's nothing more than the Keemstar of crypto and finance. But as opposed to just telling you, I'm going to show you some of the core discrepancies that I caught in Coffeezilla's investigation. Coffee, you interviewed the developer who stole the game code, fled to Switzerland, and held it hostage for $1 million. Well, his name is Zach Kelling. Surely, as the internet detective that you proclaim to be, you would know that he spent time in prison for multiple felonies, one for aggravated robbery, armed robbery at a liquor store, and the other for, surprise, obstructing the legal process. I can see why you kept him anonymous.
Who we'll be calling Z here.
I guess among many things, it doesn't surprise me that he lied about having 30 engineers and a $50,000 a week burn rate.
On my end, I have 30 engineers. I'm burning $50,000 a week.
Which, side note, is how this delusionist landed on the $1 million code ransom, but it turns out he only had 3 engineers. Wouldn't someone with journalistic integrity know their credible source had not only an agenda, but a fondness for orange jumpsuits? Or did you just hear what you wanted to hear and moved on? Because even if you're lying to yourself, Steven, you still have to believe it. And I know what you're thinking. What type of idiot would work with an unsavory individual like Zach Kelling? I guess that's what I get for trusting the team that I relied on to vet and manage Eddie's hiring process, who has turned out to be a professional con man that I have since learned fooled billionaires, the Mormon Church, the owner of the New York Yankees, and now me. And surely you knew Emilio, the gentleman who supposedly let his child invest in a cryptocurrency, was allegedly responsible for 2 rug pulls before you interviewed him. So either you missed that or you knew it and failed to let the public know. Why? Because it was a clear sign that he was also untrustworthy. You seemed pretty excited when the guy told you that he couldn't hatch the eggs.
Wait, you can't even hatch?
No, I'm telling you, it's just a picture.
You're kidding! You can't hatch?
You're kidding. You can't hatch?
You can't hatch?
Yeah, 1 second of research would prove that to be false, as you can definitely hatch eggs and even breed your animals.
Click on that. Oh, we got a duck.
And as you pointed out in your fine print, cross-hatching was available on ETH at one point, but you perpetuated the opposite as truth with your chest out.
Basically, nothing worked.
And by the way, guy, almost all NFTs are just pictures.
I'm telling you, it's just a picture.
And surely a real internet detective would not break criminal and civil laws in trying to get information, right? So why have you allowed the illegal recording of Jeff's phone call without his permission? And then more like an internet criminal, post it online.
I know about that.
This is wild.
Now, although you didn't verify any backgrounds, substantiate any evidence, took multiple criminals' words as truth, and broke laws, you still published the defamation. However, unlike you, the blockchain doesn't lie. So let's highlight some things that you did point out. Crypto King Jake stole $6 million. True or not, we had already removed him from the team when we realized he was a bad actor and his
Facts.
motives were purely financial.
Not so
Conman
fast as
Eddie,
if I know.
lead developer, stole $1.7 million. True or not, when we learned he was a bad actor as well, he was immediately removed from the team. While myself and Jeff sold nothing and made nothing as verified through investigation and the blockchain.
Jeff, Logan's manager, to my knowledge, never sold.
Okay.
Neither did Logan Paul.
I repeat, Jeff and I made no money and will never make any money on CryptoZoo. In fact, we only lost money trying to pick up the pieces. As has been the case with dozens of crypto and NFT projects, the space is unfortunately ripe for bad actors to infiltrate projects that start with even the best intentions. Jake the Snake is no longer affiliated with CryptoZoo, and we hope the money he reappropriated was worth ruining his reputation. Conman Eddie is being
hope that guy
investigated
gets
by a
arrested.
higher authority that I cannot speak on. As you can imagine, I was not cleared from legal to discuss much of this, including the legal process being undertaken and the criminal investigations going on during the fallout, but I do appreciate you calling out that rats under my nose stole the game code, millions of dollars, and left Jeff and I abandoned with no team and knives in our back. But even after 12 months of work, you've still managed to overlook one crucial piece of information. See, even though I've said it's coming so many times, you've assumed that CryptoZoo isn't being made. Who are you to decide when the development timeline ends? I got everything stolen from me in our community, stopped promoting publicly as soon as I knew the extent of the internal issues, took all of the heat on social, and you still published a defamatory hit piece fully knowing I was innocent just so you could enrich yourself in your $10 million studio. Sharp, but deeply unethical, dangerously misleading, and illegal. I suggest you use the money you got from pumping your Patreon to hire a
Oh,
good
you're gonna
lawyer.
need it.
You're gonna need it. And maybe we could have talked about this if you had reached out to me, personally. Not my manager, Jeff, who is not me, Steven. But the first time you did was on Christmas Eve after you released your series so you could rely on false statements and unreliable people used recklessly. The subject line was third request for comment. Yeah, not quite. This will be my third time reaching out to you and your team. The first 2 times were through your manager, Jeff. The first 2 times were through your manager, Jeff. Okay, so the last time on Christmas Eve, after the fact, was to me. You have a funny way of twisting things. And I also noticed you left out that part on Twitter. Why hide that? Trust me, CryptoZoo is coming. I will make damn sure of it. And honestly, it sucks that after years of personal reform, going through trials and tribulations, and busting my ass to evolve into a person that I can say I'm actually proud of, you led the charge to drive and monetize a narrative telling millions of people that I'm a fraud or I tried to scam my audience. That is patently false. This video is mainly for my fans and anyone who's on the fence that I hope I can help understand a situation that is tremendously complex but has been oversimplified for both views and clicks. And lastly, Coffeezilla. I now know your motives with this. Clout and money, good for you, but also you're slimy as so I'm not gonna come on any of your podcasts. If you wanna come on Impulsive and talk about this, that's fine. You've denied my invitation multiple times. You're still invited. It can be a one-on-one. If not, we're gonna handle this ourselves while we continue to build CryptoZoo, and I'll see you in court.
In my opinion, honestly, I have no right to say anything because I actually don't know. I mean, I do know quite a bit, but you can't even, you can't say a lot when it comes to this kind of situation, right? Or you can't, not that you can't say a lot, but you can't personally add your own stuff onto this. All you can say is what you think of it, not how this can be fixed and how this cannot be fixed, and how to solve this issue, whatever. Well, what I'm saying or what I've seen is that I think that both parties are at fault. When I mean both parties, I mean Coffeezilla and I think Logan Paul as well. Logan Paul is, he's a big guy and everything like that. And, he had his, and he's made a big mistake. But just like KSI said, and just like many people say, that let him explain himself, which he has. And I think he's trying to make himself a victim here. But all I want to say is that he's also taking accountability. That he's saying that I've lost money, but he even in his podcast he said, yeah, it's my fault. In Georgia, his podcast, his co-host in this podcast, even he pointed out, listen, bro, people put money into this, right? People put hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars into this, right? Because they didn't do it for CryptoZoo. They did it because Logan Paul, the guy that we trust, has made something that we think is gonna make us money, or that we want to support him with to show our loyalty, right? And definitely Logan Paul, he says that he worked hard. I believe that he worked hard, but I don't think he worked hard enough. And as he said, the crypto world is very, very, or this world of business is very difficult, and it's full of scam artists, and it's full of people like Zach King and those mans. Right, so all I want to say is that Logan Paul is not a victim, but he is also not the one purely at fault, right? He didn't, if we had a business, and some people under our noses, were rats, and they stabbed us in the back, right? And the business flops, right? It's not necessarily the guy who had the idea who's at fault. The guy who was responsible for building this at fault. It's it's him, a part of it, because he trusted these people. But it's not just him. You can't point the fingers at him, right? And I think, so I'm with Logan Paul in this. I'm not saying he's a victim, but I'm also not saying that he can't fix this. He can definitely fix this. He said, listen, he said, I'm damn sure of it, that I'm gonna make sure Crypto Zoo comes to life, and I really hope it does. I really hope the best for him, right? So I hope the best for you, Logan. Right, and when it comes to Coffeezilla, listen, Coffee, listen, Coffee. I think your name is Steve. I forgot, man. My bad. But listen, Coffee, you are an amazing storyteller. You're pretty good at your job, right? But you should never tell anyone or say to anyone that they're a scam artist. You cannot ruin a person's, legacy like that. Calling a person a scammer is the biggest way for them to lose their respect and all that kind of stuff. So you're a huge fault of that as well. So never point fingers. You could have said, you villainize Logan Paul in the entire 3-part series, right? What your goal should have been was to have an objective point of view, and your goal should have been to be as honest and as responsible and as objective as possible. You should never point any fingers, right? You should not, you should point fingers. Actually, you should never point fingers, right? Obviously, everyone's gonna have their little bit of bias. You might have some beef with Logan from the past. I don't know, but you should not have pointed fingers at Logan. I think that's very rude, because not rude. I'm sound like a B word, but you technically ruined a lot of his reputation. His businesses probably were affected as well. Prime was definitely affected. We saw some of that. Some of the things going on with Prime. Prime was definitely affected. His other projects are probably going to be affected from this. His reputation has been affected from this, right? And when the damage is already done, it's hard to fix it, right? There's so many players. I think there was a Javante Davis one where his girl made an allegation against him, and now the damage has already been done, right? Even though he's proven innocent now, the damage is done. When the damage is done, the damage is done, and now to fix it all back, it's going to be really hard. So both of you guys are at fault. Logan, work harder. Coffeezilla, improve yourself. That was my opinion. Alright guys, Allah Hafiz. See you guys in a bit. Salam alaikum.
Bismillah, Allah Akbar.